Hey guys, it's that time again. We're going to do the random watercolor challenge, but this time it's going to be one color. So I've got my 24 set of QoR as usual in a hat. I'm going to pick one random color and create an illustration. So let's just get our one color. The suspense. And it is... oh my gosh. Y'all, it's my favorite color. We've got purple. What are the chances? All right, here we go. For those of you that are new to my channel or don't understand sarcasm, that was a joke. I actually hate purple. It's my least favorite color. But honestly, this purple isn't so bad. It's a very deep purple, which I'm okay with. The really, I don't know, muted sort of gray purples I actually kind of like. So this one was all right. It had a really dark color, so I was really excited that I could have a single color that could have some really dark tones and also some really light tones. Because if I got like a yellow or something, you can't get very dark colors with a yellow. Colors? Hues? Tones? Tones. Anyways, with this being the one color challenge, I was really sad while swatching this that I didn't have anything to mix together. It was just see how dark it is, see how light it is, and we were ready to go. So after swatching the color, it was time to start thinking of some ideas on what to draw, because that's the point. We're going to draw something with this single color. So when I think of purple, I think dark sky, maybe a space sky. I was thinking something with lots of stars, maybe play around with mixing those really dark tones with the really light ones and just kind of letting the watercolor do their thing and making this really beautiful galaxy. So it just made me think of just something really magical or just something really wonderful looking. I don't know. Purple just makes me think of witches as well because it is purple. A really, really dark purple could be like a witch color. So I had witches on the mind, and then I also thought it would be fun to use negative space because this dark could get so purple, because this purple could get so dark. I thought it would be interesting to play around with some white space, some negative space as well. Again, very happy, very lucky that I got a color that was able to get so dark but also get so light, because you can get in some trouble if, like I said, you're stuck with a yellow or something. Not much you can do there when it comes to different tones, so lucky draw on this one. So because I wanted to use a lot of contrasting negative space in this illustration, I had to break out the old masking fluid, which, if you recall, I kind of feel like the last time I used my masking fluid was on the 2 random color challenge, but I also feel like maybe I used it on some sort of prompt right after I failed so hard on that. Either way, it's been many months since I have used my masking fluid because I've been a little bit scarred of it since, well, scarred by it and scared of it since that huge failure on the 2 random color challenge. If you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and click here. There's probably a link on screen. Basically, the masking fluid did not want to work with me, and I thought I had figured out why it had messed up so badly before. On the 2 random color challenge, I used a hairdryer on top of the masking fluid when I put down a lot of watercolor. I wanted it to dry faster, so I used a hairdryer, and I thought that made the masking fluid stick to my watercolor paper. So I didn't use a hairdryer this time because I thought every time I used a hairdryer, it messed up the masking fluid. And I even did a test before I did this illustration because I wasn't going to run into the same problem again. Nope, I learned my lesson. It worked perfectly, came right off the paper, no problems. And then of course, later on you will see that yes, we still had issues with it. So gosh dang it. At this point though, I do think that this bottle of masking fluid has expired. It was very thick and very yellow. Basically the odds were against me, but all I know is that it didn't turn out as badly as it did last time, so that is good. So, as you see here, I am working on the background space sort of magical glow area. I just think it looks so cool every once in a while. I just want to play around with putting a lot of water down and then putting a really thick bit of watercolor, I suppose, a very concentrated bit of watercolor paint, and just letting it do its thing and letting it flow around the page and let it do what it wants. And does that not look so cool? Not only as an effect as the drawing, but as you see the water and the watercolor spread around the page, it just looks so dang cool. And with watercolor, it's out of your hands. You just kind of let the medium do what it wants and go where it wants to go. And I just think that's so cool about watercolor. Sometimes you just gotta let things be out of your control. Now, one thing I will say about the background is that I do wish I went much darker. I think I always get so scared about making it dark. Plus, when you do put watercolor down, it looks so much darker, and then it dries, and then it's lighter. And it's really hard, I think, to layer on top of a really big area where you just kind of let it do its own thing. Now, it's really easy to layer multiple things when you're doing small sections and it's a solid, but if I wanted to get a really cool effect like I did, I couldn't really put a second layer on top and make it darker, so unfortunately I was stuck with what I had, but honestly, I think in the end it turned out really good. That is why in some parts I really pushed that condensed dark purple color, especially around the top of the hat, because obviously I really wanted that white hat to contrast the really dark background of the purple. Dark background of the purple? The really dark purple of the background. I mean, it's all purple. I should probably just say dark. There's no green here. So because of how mid of a tone the background ended up like, I really had to make her skin as pale as I could, but I couldn't make it white because her clothes were, for the most part, going to be white, so I had to make sure that there was some color on her skin. It is really light, but I do think that there is enough there that you can separate her clothes. Because her skin was going to be as pale as I could make it, I wanted to make her hair as dark as I could make it. Thankfully, I had focused on putting the darkest darks in the sky above the hat. Like I said, I was really wanting to contrast that white and the darkest purple parts, so I think I just focused on putting the darkest bits around what I knew would be the lightest bits. So obviously that was going to be the white of her hat, her shirt, and a little bit around her legs, because I knew I was going to make her, for the most part, pretty pale, but I didn't know I was going to go as pale as I ended up going. After I put down the first layer of her hair, it lightened up so much. I was so surprised once again at how light it ended up drying, so I went back over it with a very dark, I almost said purple. Yes, I went back over it with a very dark purple. As you can see, her hair is a purple color, unlike the rest of the image that is definitely not purple. As usual with watercolor, it was really fun to paint something that had a clear translucency to it. Transparency, especially when it comes to clothes. In a somewhat recent prompt, I did a dress that had a transparency to it, so doing this little tiny skirt was really fun. I don't know what it is, just something about watercolor and layering things where it would be darker or lighter is just really fun. I don't know why. It was also really fun to have all of those spots of the masking fluid on her skirt. I wanted her skirt to have some sort of texture and funness to it, so I put polka dots on it with the masking fluid to make them white. And every time I painted over that section, my brush would go against them and it would just sound so squeaky. Like the squeakiest little squeaky rubbery sound ever. It was the funniest thing, and I don't know. It was very entertaining. Every time I went to that spot, I was like, oh, here we go again with the squeaking. Though the skirt did end up sort of blending into the background because it was that mid-tone. I didn't want her skirt to be really dark, though honestly, I probably could have and should have made her skirt the darkest I could have. Because the background was mostly that mid-tone, I just wanted to make sure there was more mid somewhere else, though I guess I probably shouldn't have because every time it seems like it kind of merged together. It is time to remove the masking fluid because everything is done. They didn't go horribly wrong, but like I said earlier, they didn't go as well as my test went. I don't understand. I don't know. One day I will learn how to use masking fluid. I never used to have this problem and suddenly I don't know how to use it. So it came off okay at first, but there are a few places where it did really stick and tear the paper up. So after taking all of the masking fluid off and just seeing how rough it was, not to mention I didn't get the smoothest of edges because I didn't have the smallest brush to use. I guess I did a sloppy job, so it wasn't as smooth as I would have liked it, and it wasn't perfect like the way I wanted it, so I decided instead of being sad about that, I was going to use that, and I made her hat, her shirt, and her underwear thing into a fluffy texture. So I used that really fuzzy edge and I guess the texture of the torn up paper, and I made it into a fluffy, fuzzy thing, which honestly I think it's really funny and it just kind of makes it silly because a fur hat and shirt and underwear things, it just makes her that much more of a witch character and that much more of a silly outfit, and you know, it's one of those happy accident sort of things, right? So there you go, there is our one color challenge. I created this purple magical witch. I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Doesn't matter what color it is, it's good to practice your tones, huh? Alright guys, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye!